The Movie Theater's Victory Broadcast. The War Activities Committee of the Motion Picture Industry, in collaboration with the United States Treasury, presents the Movie Theater Victory Broadcast to inaugurate the sale of war bonds and stamps in every motion picture theater in the United States starting tomorrow. Our guests, Red Skelton, Risa Stevens, Harriet Hilliard, Marjorie Main, Carrie Wilson, Irene Manning, Lee Sweetland, Meredith Wilson and his orchestra, Max Terr singing ensemble, and your master of ceremonies for the evening, Mr. Edward Arnold.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, our country takes another step toward victory. The motion picture industry, which has already done so much in the interest of national unity and the stimulation of national morale, now throws the full power of its 16,000 box offices into the fight for freedom. Starting tomorrow, United States war savings bonds and stamps will be on sale at every theater in the country, from border to border and coast to coast. And the 12 million film fans who go to the movies every day to see a good show will have an opportunity to help Uncle Sam put on the biggest show of all. After dark, on holidays, at all the times when ordinary agencies are closed, you can buy war bonds and stamps at your local movie theater. So start buying a stamp with every ticket tomorrow. That's Meredith Wilson's way of saying, step aside, Edward Arnold. We're off with a couple of songs, grand songs, with the star of Yankee Doodle Dandy, Miss Irene Manning. Keep your feet moving, ladies and gentlemen, to the rhythm of the United Nations March to Victory.
Don't give up, cause the end will be a strong fella. Get up, cheerio, carry on. Keep a stiff upper lip when you're in town, fella. Get up, cheerio, carry on. Hold the sun to the smile on your tight little while. So hang on to your wits, and you'll turn the bit from quit. There's a whole world behind you now. Now, fella, get up, cheerio, carry on. There's a whole world behind you now. Now, fella, chin up, cheerio, carry on.
There's a feeling comes the ceiling, and it sets my brain a-reeling when I'm listening to the music of a military band. Over
Thank you, Meredith Wilson and Irene Manning. Now cast your eyes down that dusty road, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Red, Skelton, and his girlfriend, Harriet Hilliard.
Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm lucky to be here tonight. I drove over, and to avoid an accident, I drove between two trolley cars. You know, anybody wants to buy a tall, thin Buick? On my way over, I saw an old friend of ours, Clem, the fellow from the country, and he was walking along the street on the way to the movies. Well, here I am. On my way to the movie. Oh, Rose O'Day, Rose O'Day. She's my Marusha, Marusha, blah, blah, boom, do, do. Whatever that means. If it means what I think it does, hot diggity. Oh, boy, look at that pretty girl in front of me. Maybe I better comb my hair. Well, what do you know? My rabbit didn't run away after all. Gee, it's a pretty girl. Howdy, miss.
Hello, Clem.
Well, Daisy.
Didn't recognize you for a minute. You got on a clean shirt.
Yep. I stayed up all night erasing it. Look, I got a haircut, too.
Well, what do you know? Your head don't come to no point after all. Where you going, Clem?
I'm going down to the movies. Would you like to go?
Nope, I gotta go to the beauty parlor.
That's good.
Well, now, Clem, you talk as though I ain't pretty.
Oh, sure you are. Your hair is what makes you pretty. I like the way it hangs down over your shoulders. Just glistens in the sunlight. By the way, where is it?
Well, it's over to the beauty parlor. That's why I'm going over.
Oh.
Well, I'll see you later.
Okay.
And remember, Clem, you better be true to me.
Oh, don't worry. I love you, Daisy June. I love the ground you walk on. And that property you own on the south side of town, too.
Say, what you going to the theater for? You seen the picture.
I know, but I like to look at that woman in that cage sitting in front of the place.
Woman in the cage.
Yep.
Clem, that's the cashier in the box office.
It is? Well, no wonder she got mad when I kept feeding her peanuts.
Well, I'll see you later.
Okay. Boy, would Daisy June get mad if she knew that cashier was the widow. Rose O'Day. Well, here's your theater.
Hi, Clem.
Hi, Marge. Gee, you look pretty. I never knew you had freckles.
Them ain't freckles. A cart hit a mud hole in front of the theater.
Ain't you got a kiss for a little Clemsy?
No. I'm saving my lips for Lockheed. And besides, you'll smear my lip through.
Well, then let me kiss you on the neck.
No. Your teeth always get caught in the wrinkles.
Oh, my teeth ain't that bad, are they?
I don't know, but every time you smile, they look like a lot of slabs in a crowded cemetery.
Hey, what them pretty tickets you're selling?
They ain't tickets. They're war stamps.
War stamps?
Yep. If you buy them, you can lick the other side.
Well, if I didn't, how could I get them to stick in the book? Gee, boy, looks like all the girls from Hollywood are doing defense work, ain't it?
Yeah, and before the war, too. Boy, you sure are dumb.
I sure am to give you all them laughs, but I ain't so dumb. When I was in school, I was voted as the one most likely to.
One most likely to what?
I don't know. I got kicked out before I got that far.
I went to school. I went to Vassar.
Vassar? Well, that's a girl's school.
Well, what do I look like? One of Bing Crosby's horses. Well, what do I look like? One of Bing Crosby's horses? Don't you answer that, or you'll only lead to bloodshed.
If you'd like for one of our interpreters to step in and give this to you, we'll be very happy.
So do you want to buy some of these war stamps?
Well, if I do, they get a whipping. I do this.
How many?
I'll have $10 worth.
Oh, Clem, you're helping a great cause. And just for that, I will give you that itty-bitty kiss.
Well, all right. Gee, you kiss just like Wally Berry.
You sort of kiss like an old sea lion yourself.
Gee, I always thought you was a home girl.
So stop looking coy and help me get my head back through the bars of this box office.
And there you have a typical scene that might possibly take place any time after tomorrow, where war bonds and stamps go on sale at 16,000 motion picture theaters in America. Thank you, Harriet Hilliard and Red Skelton. And the cashier in the box office was Marjorie Main. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet a typical moving picture fan. She was chosen by lot from the audience of a Los Angeles theater. And I just want to ask her a few questions about our new plan to sell United States war bonds and stamps in movie houses. Right up here, please, miss, won't you?
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Now, I'm not going to ask you your name, but there are certain things I'd like you to know about you. For instance, you're quite a movie fan, aren't you?
Oh, I wouldn't call myself a real fan. I only go about twice a week.
Well, you'll do till a real fan comes along. Now, tell me, how do you like this new idea of selling war bonds and stamps at the movie theaters?
I think it's a wonderful idea, Mr. Arnold. I really do. And if I could say something...
Why, sure, of course. Go on. What is it?
Well, I belong to several fan clubs.
Yes?
I belong to one for Robert Taylor and one for Jerome Powell and one for... Oh, well, I belong to a lot of them. But I've just had an idea for a fan club everybody could belong to.
And what's that?
An Uncle Sam fan club. And all you have to do to be a member in good standing is buy one 10-cent stamp every time you buy a movie ticket. Don't you think that's a good idea?
Oh, I'll say. Have you got any more?
There must be almost, 1 million fans around the country, aren't there?
My dear, there are 85 million. Think of it. You could call your club the American Moviegoers Legion for Victory. And if any one of you bought just one 10-cent stamp at your movie theater, it would bring Uncle Sam $8,500,000. Why, that's enough to buy 10 or 12 patrol bombers.
You think I got something, Mr. Arnold?
Well, very definitely, my dear. And I hope all our listeners will join your new organization at once. Come on, everybody. Join the American Moviegoers Legion for Victory. And thank you for the suggestion, Miss Film Fan. Now, come on, Meredith. You know, Meredith Wilson has written a new song. That's always an occasion. But this one more so than any other. He calls it Gangway. And Gangway it is for Meredith Wilson, the ensemble, and Lee Sweetland, dedicated to all our fighting men.
Here comes MacArthur and Taylor and Chiang Kai-shek, FDR and Winnie and Big Joe. A soldier, a sailor, a leatherneck, Kelly, Timoshenko, and Shello. There's Wainwright and Wavell and Ed O'Hare, and before 1,000 planes a day. There'll be hurricanes and Douglases and Lockheeds everywhere. Gangway, you rats, gangway. Oh, there's Joneses and Millers from Nome to Maine, Sutherland and Nimitz, Navy Blue. There's welders and drillers and Carver Kane, Elbrick, General Royce and Whalers go. Houdini and Stilwell, the USO, hit from Ketchikan and Hudson Bay. Donald Nelson, Walter Sheila, Johnny Bulkley and Joe. Gangway, you rats, gangway. Oh, there's Lincoln and Franklin and R.E.D., Harry, Admiral Dewey and Miss There's Wilson, McKinley, and F. Scott Key, Washington and Colonel Teddy There's Custer, Will Rogers, and Wilbur Wright, Booker T. and Nathan Hale and Say. There's 100 million more of us who've just begun to fight. Gangway, you rats, gangway.
The next voice you will hear is one that comes to you from the silver screen of your favorite motion picture theater. It's the voice of the What Do You Think Man, the movie voice of Nostradamus himself, Gary Wilson.
May the 30th, 1942. On the calendars, it is a date printed in red, a holiday. Out from the florist shops will go millions of roses and spring blossoms. Out to a million tiny plots of land will go the living, to kneel down, pluck the weeds from someone's grave, and set a brilliant spray of flowers in the earth that hides the long sleep of our American dead. In all lands and among all peoples, there is some day of each year which is set aside for this solemn rendezvous between us, the living and the dead. The date differs, of course, as in our own southern states where another day is chosen for the memorials to those who fell in their uniforms of gray, and with other people, other days, as well as the official Memorial Day that dawns a few hours from now. The dates differ, the religions differ, but there is no difference in death. There is no difference in the spirit of wonder that comes to us as we stand at the soldier's grave and say, "We live and are free today, because for us you gave up living and freedom to die." Will you hear us tomorrow, men of America, men who sleep deep in the soil, when our hearts speak to you once again, "We live because you died"? We kneel beside the resting place of one who fell long ago, by a dry-piled stone wall in New England. Can you hear us speak, soldier of Valley Ford?
Jonathan Andrews, sir. Age 32. Home, Rhode Island. Trade, harness mending. Reporting for duty. I got my own musket here. 200 rounds of shot and a set of leather working knives. Figure on mending shoes for General Washington's army and peppering the enemy.
How did you die, Private Andrews?
Oh, same way anybody else does, I guess. Ran up to cut the saddlebags off of one of their officers. Brought him down off his horse, all right. But he took me with his saber as he fell. But it don't matter how you die, does it?
No, Private Andrews. Can you tell me, why did you die?
Well, it was one of those little tracts. Pamphlet that the elders read at the meeting house. Rights of Man. We was fighting each other up and down the colonies about the rights of man long enough. Us from Rhode Island and them from Boston. Bloodying each other's nose over it as soon as we was big enough to swing a fist. But now they said the enemy didn't believe in the rights of common men. So we picked up our muskets, gave our wives a hug, and lit out for General Washington. But, it was right, wasn't it? Meaning we didn't die in vain.
Cyrus Cobb reporting. I died in 1812. Military chaplain, sir, attached to the 20th Regulars. It was outside Washington, the morning they pushed us back. Was reading the final services to a dying man, sir, when the bullet found me. So it was my last service. Praise the Lord. I believe in man. I never doubted.
Will Drummond reporting. I died of dysentery in a field camp in Virginia, 1864. They told us it was for the Union and the freedom of man. I never understood it very well, but I believed in it. It wasn't in vain, was it?
Charles Ransom reporting. I died in 1918, Bellow Wood. There was a bridge that had to be blown up. I blew it up all right, but I was standing too close. I never doubted why I was fighting. It was to make democracy safe. It wasn't in vain, was it?
Ludwig Palmer reporting. I got mine in the Argonne Forest. A bayonet when I wasn't ready for it. Was it in vain?
Paula Schwab reporting. I died with the International Brigade in Spain in a flaming tank. We were all proud men and good fighters. They tell me I fought a good fight until I died. Was it in vain?
Chick Anderson reporting. I died in the foxhole in Bataan. We fought so long, we were so tired,
I was almost glad when the plane came down to strafe us. Was I wrong to want to die because I was so tired? Was it in vain?
These are the voices of the dead, asking us their everlasting question on the eve of Memorial Day. All of us are afraid to die, aren't we? Yet these men, these billions of yesterday, preferred to die for us. Or was it for us, or for something we represent? This thing that has been given with their marching orders to every American soldier in every American fought war, the promise that he was representing the rights of the common man. Tomorrow we kneel by the myriad graves of our dead to answer their great cry, "Did I die in vain?" And when we come to the site of their resting place, our arms hid by the flowers they carry, shall we be able to give them the answer? And there was one other who died in action.
There was a little talk I made at a memorial ceremony shortly before my death. You've been quoting it a great deal these days. How did it go? That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain.
Which is, after all, the only clear answer ever made to why we Americans hold each year the holiday called Memorial Day.
Thank you, Carrie Wilson. Now, here's the new song poem written by Frank Lesser and Arthur Schwartz, inspired by John Steinbeck's book, The Moon is Down, and sung by the motion picture and Metropolitan Opera star, Risa Stevens.
People of Norway, listen. People of Holland, listen. People of France, people of Java, listen. Listen. Your nights of despair are not without number. You live without life, you sleep without slumber. But nights of despair are not without number. People of Poland, listen. People of Belgium, listen. Listen. In our eyes, now the wind that was full of a song only cries, only mournfully cries. Yet even so, there is light from the moon that is down. There is fear in the conqueror's heart. There is death in the streets of the town. That the music of freedom may start. And the song will be whispered on. From the doomed and the dead to the young. And the young will be mighty and strong. And the song once again will be sung, will be sung in the light, will be sung endlessly long, on its way, on its ominous way. Yet even so, there is light from the moon that has fled, in the sparks where the barracks have burned, in the blood that is gleaming so red, on the knife in the back that was turned, and the stars will be whispered along, from the doom of the dead to the young, only young will be mighty and strong, and the song once again will be sung, will be sung in the light, will be sung.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should like you to meet the executive director of the Pacific Coast Conference of Independent Theater Owners Association, Mr. Robert Poole. His message is a simple one. Mr. Poole.
Well, I just want to say, Mr. Arnold, that I firmly believe that this huge bond-selling plan at the box office is a long step in the right direction. I know all of our exhibitors feel the same way, but we must remember that there are thousands of movie houses in America with very small seating capacities. Consequently, their patronage hardly measures up to the great metropolitan theaters that do more business in a day than they do.
Well, that's quite true, Mr. Poole, but what's your point?
Just this. When the returns of the bond sales are published in the various trade papers, it might make our little fellows feel rather insignificant by comparison.
Oh, that feeling must never exist. We're all in this to do our job, be it big or small. And the final reward will be victory.
That's the way I feel, too. And if the small theater owner will only realize that his task is to press into the sale of stamps and bonds by putting his every facility at the disposal of the government, none of them need feel ashamed of the size of the net result.
That's right.
So let me say this to every independent theater owner in America. Use every bit of exploitation you can to promote the sale of these passports to freedom. Pitch day and night, and urge every patron to hop on Uncle Sam's bond wagon.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. And I'm sure they won't fail. And that winds up our Hollywood salute to the motion picture theaters of America. With sincere appreciation to the Hollywood Victory Committee. Thank you.
The Movie Theater's Victory broadcast was presented from the Don Lee KHJ studios in Hollywood. This is the Mutual.